Hi, gentlemen and lady.
Hello.
Yeah,
lady. There's like 30 ladies in there. There's
Hey.
like soccer mom. There's like, I've seen like 10 moms.
Auntie, what's her name?
Yeah.
Shout out to my internet auntie. We love you. We need that strong matriarchal presence in our channel.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So I guess this is a medical update. It felt like it was time to make a video with the both of us in it instead of one of us griping at a time. We just had COVID come through the house. Luckily, I've already had COVID back in November. I say luckily, but it was terrible.
I actually got the vaccine.
He got the shot. I didn't. I did not.
This guy is an anti-vaxxer.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
You'll see.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer. If you browse through r/nursing, is it? I point to that all the time. Every time somebody brings up, like the vaccine, it's got a microchip in it, it's poisoning your brain, and people blah blah blah. If you go to the r/nursing subreddit and see how many people fucking at the peak were just dying in mass and how horrible it was and how traumatic it was for the nurses, that really opened my eyes to the effectiveness of the vaccine.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm just having a conversation.
I just made one joke about the vaccine, and you're on talking about fucking COVID. We're not talking
COVID
about
came through the house.
Who the fuck is this?
We
shit?
just COVID.
Yeah, COVID came through the house.
COVID paid us a visit.
It didn't touch either of us. That's the end of the story.
Now
you're on about fucking the vaccine.
It did touch me.
Show me on the doll where it touched you.
It touched me.
All right.
Did it not touch you?
It's just like when you start talking about a certain point, it's like you just take forever to get there, and we all
It's just a conversation. It's a conversation.
This is a conversation.
Anyway, COVID. All right, we'll keep it really straightforward.
No, it doesn't have to be straightforward. Just make it have a point besides just like COVID is bad.
There was a point. Go browse the nursing subreddit, see how fucking terrible COVID is. If you're an anti-vaxxer, you can go fuck yourself. I also think that people have the right to put in their bodies what they want to.
Okay.
They also have the right to put in their bodies what they want to. So if they don't feel like putting some juice in their body, then they have the full right not to do it. But
such as yourself. Which is why
I regret.
Which is why you got COVID back in November, and I was all up in his face going, "Are you okay? Is my boo boo shmoo okay?" And I didn't get COVID, and he got COVID.
Yeah,
I was like taking his temp and shit, and he had a temperature, and I was all in his face. And guess what? The one shot of the vaccine I got helped me. But you guys, what is a salient point?
Would you get to the point?
I am getting to the point.
Would you get to the point?
The salient point that ties into our health journey is plenty of people ask, is it the vax, And doctors ask too every time we go in. Did you guys get vaccinated?
Would you get to the point we can all see where you're going with this?
I'm gonna forget.
You see how fucking annoying that is? Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to go stoop to your level.
You already did.
Please go ahead.
Eric didn't get vaxxed. I got vaxxed, so it has nothing to do with it.
So then back in November it's like every time I start talking, I'm wondering if you're gonna fucking shut me up.
No.
Back in November when I got COVID for the first time, I already had neurological symptoms going on, and it turned my brain fucking off. Like I couldn't track conversation. I couldn't track one word to the next. I couldn't track the simplest plots of movies.
My God.
I was downstairs in the basement. It's like basically suicidal. Brain was burning. I couldn't think, and all I was doing was staring at a wall for 10 days.
Now, I was hoping I was gonna get better. This is like before shit really, really hit the fan. I mean, it was starting to hit the fan pretty bad. Like a lot of malaise, like numb ball, some neuro stuff.
Did you forget about the insomnia?
And the horrible insomnia. But I mean, before all the super bad psych symptoms hit.
Oh, okay. Right.
I went back to Boise because I'm like, I'm gonna get better. I need to start making videos again. And you got COVID, so you stayed where you are now. And then he sent me a photo of himself, and he's shirtless, and he's got this startled look on his face. And there's
the blood.
Yeah, the bloody nose. There's blood all over him. He's got like a bloodshot eye too.
I would wake up at that point. It was just like at some point, suffering just becomes suffering, and you're just so used to it. Because I was up at 2 a.m, had a hot shower running because I couldn't sleep because there's so much shit draining down the back of my throat, like basically into my lungs.
Shit.
Into my lungs, and I would just get up in the early hour, like 2 a.m, and turn on a hot shower and just be hacking up all this shit for literally 2 hours until my dad came downstairs and was like, "You good?"
Yeah,
dude?
and I wasn't there to like take care of him or whatever, and so it was just my dad making him like. Well, my dad has something what we call dad's ugly eggs, which we called them as kids. But all that is burnt eggs. They were ugly because they were brown. They'd have brown in them because they were burnt. But as kids, that's what we call them. And so I was out of town, and the only person to take care of Eric was my dad, like shipping food downstairs to the basement while I was quarantining.
And
so
I had gastritis at the same time, so all I could eat was like a thing of salmon and like a sweet potato, and I was fucking starving all the time. And my dad would make these eggs, and literally they were so horrible. I would try to scarf them down, and they were just so salty that like I tried to eat them, and I would go to the bathroom and immediately throw them back up. And it wasn't because I was sick. It was literally because the eggs were so fucking gross that they like were forcing their way back up my throat. It was nasty, and I lost a lot of weight.
Yes.
Anyway, COVID came through our house.
So yeah, COVID came through our house. Eric and I bounced off us a little bit. We got a little fatigue and stuff. But today we're feeling a little bit
retarded.
Right, but we're always feeling a little retarded. But we're feeling a little bit more perky and hopeful just because we found a doctor that seems kind of hopeful.
Good segue.
That we're looking to schedule with in a couple months or so, which is nice. It's like we found, a doctor who has a talk where she doesn't sound like a complete fucking idiot. So I don't know. That just gives like a little ounce of hope, and there's not a lot of hope to go around. So that you get what I'm saying. I'm extra retarded today. I mean, what do you have to talk about?
Well, I was wondering. I was just considering maybe doing a new take.
A new take. This is just perfect.
Okay.
What is not entertaining about two people that look exactly the same, just like annoying the shit
and saying stupid shit?
Yeah, there's nothing better.
Okay, so I basically have 4 neurologists lined up, and one of them, the most promising one, I'm trying to get up front so I don't run into fucking dum-dum and then have the promising one after that. I want the best one first. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a rush referral, and then I'm going to try to squeeze in as soon as possible. And basically the earliest they're scheduling there is like 2 months out, which is really...
Do you have the list of the quotes that these...
Oh, shit.
You should show that.
They were on my phone.
Maybe I can pull them up somewhere, because I know you sent them.
Now I have the obligation to entertain.
Yeah, fill them, keep talking.
Fill them. I'll fill each and every one of you.
Maybe it's pinned.
No, here. I got you.
Hold on.
It's literally on my notes on the phone that's recording right now.
I don't know how you're going to access it.
I can't access it because it's fucking recording.
You sent it to... Oh my god. See, that's stuff people don't want to watch. You just be an asshole.
You got it not by media. You search the conversation.
Well, I thought you sent it in as a photo.
No, not as a photo. It was a text. So just search PCP. There you go.
Okay,
I want it. Get okay. This is hard work that's paid off. Okay. We're having a good time in front of the camera. I'm fucking sick. We're both miserable.
Well, they know this.
Okay. I always feel like I need to justify that because I look relatively normal. Maybe I don't. Maybe I look terrible.
Let's just say, like, if this went on for...
We'll leave that for the ladies to judge.
I think we've expressed our suffering enough. It's okay to...
Okay. We'll just sit back and
limp around and, like, fake cough or whatever.
Right.
What do you call that when you, like, limp?
Ah, shit.
You, like, limp around when you, like, you might just be depressed.
Fuck.
Like,
it's like, it's a
psychosomatic. Is that what it is? No, psychosomatic is a disease that is caused.
A disease. I think it's a psychiatric condition, isn't it? Psychosomatic illness.
Yeah, but it manifests itself physiologically.
Right.
It's psychosomatic. So
like in your case, it'd be psychosomatic retardation.
All right, just go ahead.
Okay, this is a lot of hard work in a brief period. But basically, what I'm trying to do is build my case, because last specialist I saw, who originally thought I had a neurological condition, now thinks I have chronic fatigue syndrome or fucking functional cognitive disorder, and he also thought that the improvement from steroids was placebo.
So I was like, steroids again?
Thank you very much, guy. Can I use the middle finger on YouTube?
6 months ago.
So
the placebo still going for 6 months.
Right. So steroids help a lot. Symptoms stagnate. Right. So good for the steroids. We still need medical treatment. Like anybody would go to the doctor for these symptoms. So I go to my primary doctor, and she has in her notes, his ongoing symptoms appear to be most well explained by a neurological process. A Pikachu face. Then I go to an internist. And why did I go to an internist? Because an internist is like, they're usually at the hospital. They're very similar to a primary care doctor. I went to an internist because I wanted more documentation that said the same thing. So I basically went there and said, hey, what do you think is going on? And he looked at all the chart notes that he had available to him, and basically wrote the same thing. He said, based on patients' reported timeline of symptoms and initial response to high-dose steroid, it does sound like he had a post-viral autoimmune encephalitis. Then my local neurologist, who is Satan and went on maternity leave to spawn the spawn of Satan, had in her chart notes, with reported improvement after steroids, we can presume that his symptoms were likely secondary to an autoimmune process, which is interesting because you'd expect a neurologist who says that you have an autoimmune neurological condition to treat it with some sort of like urgency or attentive care.
Instead, she goes on maternity leave, hires someone that's shit at their job, fires the substitute, and tries to move everybody on the other neurologist schedule. I'm not even scheduled yet. I'm getting treated with IVIG, and they're like, we'll get you in maybe late October, early November, and they're trying to cram our appointments in at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, so
and then
that's three doctors.
That's three doctors, right? Yes. Yeah, that's three doctors saying the same thing. And then the fourth one is my psychiatrist. And that was a funny appointment. I was in there for an hour, 15 minutes. I wouldn't leave until, I mean, it's like psychotic, secondary psychotic psychosis.
Yikes.
Ugh. Kind of cringe with that one. Psychiatrist writes in his chart notes, subsequent neurological workup has provided more evidence that subsequent I know people are so slow, aren't they? Your audience. They're our audience now.
Shut the fuck up.
Subsequent neurological workup has provided more evidence that encephalitis, which is an inflammation of the brain, would be the diagnosis that better explains his symptoms. His symptoms up to now have been secondary, and there has been no evidence of a primary psychiatric disorder. And that means primary psychiatric disorder would be, for example, depression with unknown cause, right? Depression secondary to something would mean, like, if you have low testosterone, you'd have depression secondary to low testosterone. You treat the low testosterone, the depression resolves. Okay. So in this case, he's saying that any psychiatric problems I had or currently have are secondary to encephalitis process.
Right, and then you also have some data to back that up, which would be high intracranial pressure from your spinal tap, as well as elevated protein, and then there's elevated myelin-basic protein. Watson, will you please? Can you quiet down over there? So there's some data to back it up, and as this doctor says,
yeah, you happen put some wet ass fever.
That's not the clip. It's
makes you realize there's inflammation in the central nervous system. Or if there's extra protein, there should never be extra protein in there. You have to have an explanation for that.
boom.
Yeah,
So that's kind of hard to hear.
That's the doctor. I'll leave her name out for now.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll mention it later. But that's a doctor I want to see, where she briefly mentions there that elevated protein shouldn't be ignored.
You have to have a reason for shit.
You
You can't just go, oh, elevated protein, elevated intracranial pressure, psychosis, like all this shit.
Right.
Like
the specialist
neuropathy.
the specialist said in my appointment, I told him, I was like, what about my elevated intracranial pressure? And he's like, intracranial pressure, intracranial pressure. Like, he didn't give a shit about it. He said, you didn't, like, why do we even measure it? It's like, bro, if your intracranial pressure was like 10 times the upper limit normal, they put a stent. Put a stent to your skull to release the pressure.
Spinal fluid coming out your nose.
Yeah.
He'd be like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There's some tampons in there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, he's we've already said retarded, so we can have.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking retarded.
And we won't. I don't think we'll ever say any name of any doctor unless we accidentally already have. But I don't think we have. Even the new one, we're never going to say her name.
Yeah.
But
so that's it. We got.
That's it.
I got my.
So we're tripping balls, but we have a great, and we're just feeling. It's just such a bad feeling and disconnection from reality.
I thought you said you don't have to describe it to me.
I feel like I have to justify it. You're right.
You're right.
But we have all these neurologists lined up. Eric has some really good documentation. We have some evidence from his spinal fluid, which is not nothing.
And then what do you take? And then beyond that, you take the symptom presentation and timeline. Viral prodrome, atypical psychosis, peripheral neuropathy, difficulty speaking, neurological deficits.
I had numbness in my tongue.
All that shit. Yeah. Response to steroids. And then if you have a partial response to steroids, what does the research tell you?
It's basically confirmation.
It's confirmation, and you essentially need to continue with other first line treatments and or escalate to second line. And nobody's been willing to do that because they're too lazy. And the funny thing is, if they got a kickback, if they got $100 for prescribing a second line therapy medication every time they did it, they would be like, why don't we escalate? Let's try escalating, because that's going to pay for my fucking steak dinner tonight. Yeah. But they don't get a kickback. They just get paid the same amount for more work.
Extra work and extra possible liability. And
there's
more documentation.
The only
more follow-ups.
What's the word? The only incentivization, is that a word? Incentive. Jesus Christ.
Let's shorten it down. Yeah. It's like Vegas line.
Incentivization
of admission.
The only incentive he had to escalate treatment was care for his patient, and that wasn't enough for him.
Yeah, no, he was just
So
like.
we're looking for a doctor who's incentivized.
You know what's
by that.
funny? I'm sure we've already said it. But, that guy is a piece of shit. So is every doctor I've ever seen in my fucking life, except for our primary doctor.
They're never.
But he said and he said to him he doesn't really recommend an MRI because it's probably not going to be anything on the MRI, right? And we kind of all
Which
agree
technically, I agreed with that.
because we've already been treated with steroids are like way better than we were in the winter, even though it's still really bad. It's still much better. So we're all kind of in agreement. That's the market.
Did I hear the market close? Yeah. I rushes to his computer.
But he said, in person, they didn't really recommend an MRI, and they agreed there's no point. And then in his chart notes, it says he highly recommends a follow-up MRI just to cover his own ass. So doctors don't care. Well, some doctors.
Well, the thing is, it's funny because I didn't mind the guy's personality. His personality was fine, but as a doctor, he didn't treat me how I should have been treated, and so that's unfortunate. I can't say like our local neurologist, I can call her Satan because the shit that she's done is I can't believe that you would do this to a person.
It's very negligent.
But this guy, the specialist who kind of blew me off and said it was placebo, it's well, fuck you for saying that, but I like the guy enough. It's just unfortunate that he's not as good of a doctor as he should be.
He's just operating under it's just easier to operate under I need to see a number, and if I don't see a number, then I'm not going to do anything.
Right.
It makes your job way easier. You don't have to get
which we said before. Adam here didn't have anything in his spinal fluid. He had it doesn't count. Nobody cares about nobody cares about mountain based protein.
My pressure was
any values that were abnormal that the specialist didn't care about. So if Adam went to him instead of me, where I had the elevated protein, which kind of made him think maybe we should do steroids. If Adam went to this specialist, he wouldn't have gotten steroids, and he'd still be in psycho land right now.
I'd literally be in a psych ward right now. I probably would have killed myself.
So that just breaks that doctor's line of logic, which is I follow the labs only, and if the labs don't show anything, then I will not treat.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I had literally no viable evidence for anything at all.
Right.
And yet I was my symptoms dropped by 50% after steroids, just like yours, because you had elevated protein. Because my spinal fluid, you get your spinal fluid in one moment. It's a snapshot. It's a snapshot. So things change. The symptom presentation during the winter came on and off and on and off in different random weird ways, and there's all sorts
chaos.
And that means that your spinal fluid will have different readings at different points in time.
I'm not sure that's the correlation.
Well, yeah, I'm just making the point that if you had elevated protein, it's highly likely that I also at some point did, and we're lucky enough to snag it on yours. Thank God. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to advocate for ourselves like this. I'd be pudding.
Right. And it's always funny back in the day when I was so desperate to get an abnormal lab value so I could have something to back up my thing, right? Because if we had an auto antibody in our spinal fluid, that would mean there's an antibody that is attacking our brain, and it's basically a humdinger home run in most cases where they'd start treating. So I'm looking for, I forgot where I was going.
I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know where I was looking at you, but I wasn't listening, so I can't help you.
Don't know where I was going with that. Now you get a hard reset.
I think we're done.
I don't know. We just go for an hour.
I don't know. We're kind of 18 minutes in. It doesn't matter, but I'm almost out of things to say. I'm just trying to cope right now because it's just months until, it's just gonna be months until our next appointment. I might get a follow up sooner with a different local neurologist, but they're not gonna do anything. They're gonna ask, "How's IG going?"
Kiddo sport.
Like, yeah, how's that going? Not a whole lot going on, Maybe at the beginning there's something not a whole lot, and they'll be like, "Okay, well, let's keep on treating you with IVIG," and I'm gonna be like, "Actually, the other bitch Satan neurologist wouldn't do a fucking peer-to-peer review, so I'm paying out of pocket. I don't have any more money to pay for IVIG."
That was so funny because we were trying to get IVIG.
I wonder how that doctor's gonna react, when I say I'm paying out of pocket. I can't keep doing this medication. And I don't know. I'm gonna ask for a referral, obviously, to the doctor that seems hopeful.
Right.
At that appointment.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what she'll say. I mean, she's not going to do anything as far as treatment goes because she's not going to take over.
I hope she looks at everything and goes, "What the fuck was that?"
Well, that's what every doctor does because you look at the chart notes and it's literally. I mean, is she human?
At the end of all this, I will read through my chart notes. There's too much personal stuff right now to
read through it, but it's just chaos.
But when this is over and we know for sure what happened and we are fixed and everything,
she didn't know.
I will read through it and you will see exactly how chaotic and nonsensical this bitch's line of thought was.
I mean,
it started
normal because right,
fell apart.
she loves her little esoteric like neurology information that she's learned in med school over a decade, and she just loves to kind of brag. She spits out words I don't understand, right? Like what was it, carbolic acid cycle. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Why are you talking to me like I'm a doctor? I'm a patient, right? I fucking forgot where I was going. Where I was going with that. Oh shit. Okay, so at the beginning she had this framework, right? She knew what to do. She did it very slowly, which is fucking stupid based on symptom presentation, but she knew what to do. Spinal tap.
Well,
EEG.
it wasn't even that really, because she's like
MRI.
well, it was like blood work first, then maybe consider spinal tap.
Right.
Then EEG.
Holy shit! It took forever to get a spinal tap.
Yeah, it took a long
like
time.
months.
It took a month at least to get spinal tap, and then it was like EEG, but it wasn't rushed. And she also put me on Topamax to lower my possible intracranial pressure, which is an anti-epileptic. And then also you were on benzodiazepine, which is I was on
anticonvulsant.
and was I at that point?
I was that. Well, it wasn't my chart notes that I was.
Okay, maybe
Were
we
you?
were. I don't know.
Potentially 2 anticonvulsants, so that fucks up the EEG.
Yeah.
Anyway, but in the appointment, she at the beginning she had an idea of what to do, right? Okay, you would do an MRI diagnosis, spinal tap, EEG, these sorts of things, very basic lab work.
But then when it came back,
hold on, and then you keep interrupting. I'm just like, but then once none of that came back with anything super enlightening, she started going cuckoo, and she started going, would you like a referral to physical therapy?
yeah,
Is your neck?
She asked Erica.
Go ahead.
She's asking Erica if she has headaches. Eric's like, yeah, I have fucking headaches because I have what I think is encephalopathy. My head feels like it's gonna explode, weird head pressure and stuff. And she's like feeling back here, like where the muscles insert into your head.
Right, she's feeling my
She's
trap.
like, is it hurt there? Like, are these tension headaches? Do you need physical therapy? And then she's giving him like prophylaxis.
Would you
migraine medication because of headaches? I'm like, bitch, this is not a migraine. This is not a tension headache. Shut the fuck up. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
How's that?
No, it was at that point I should have realized that she had absolutely no idea what she was doing.
Man,
She was referral to physical therapy for
you're like tripping on balls,
yeah,
like hallucinating, and you're like lifting weights,
right?
and
Yeah.
pulling on bands.
Not to mention, I was her personal trainer. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I know how to fucking. If I had a tight trap, I would know what to do.
All right. Anyway, well, if you guys have any recommendations on
Please keep them to yourself.
on diets or anything, please let me know. I'm really interested in trying out like anything from I don't know what keto is, never heard of it.
Right.
Intermittent fasting,
What is autophagy?
Autophagy, yeah. What is that? I have no idea.
Can you please explain that to me?
Just carnivore diet. I have no clue. So if you guys want to let me know
Right.
more about any of that, please go ham in the comments. I'm definitely willing to listen to you.
Coffee enema.
Psilocybin.
Let's see what other suggestions?
I would dabble in psilocybin after this, but what people don't recognize is if I took psilocybin right now, I go right back into psychosis.
Yeah. What other suggestions have we gotten? I believe, have we gotten a 5G comment yet?
Yes.
Okay, we got a 5G comment. 5G. Tap water. There's the mold, classic. There's the heavy metals, which we did test for.
I tell people, it happened right when we moved, but
right.
That was just coincidence because we were bouncing between here, where we are now, and where we moved, like back and forth like 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
There's no correlation.
Oh, it was a funny.
And we moved with a roommate.
Oh, I should probably keep that a secret since our family watches this.
I didn't know you had an OnlyFans.
Shut the fuck up. I don't make him a lot of money from it. But...
I'm sure you don't.
No, but
I'm sure it's how do you say it? It's proportional.
Net loss.
Proportional to size.
So, no, it's a net loss because of all the equipment I spend my money on.
Okay, that's not funny. It's gross.
What you said was fucking gross, dude.
No, that was funny.
I don't know if we should just leave it on that. Let's go for an hour. Let's just go for.
You want to go for an hour?
Yeah, let's go for an hour.
I can go for an hour.
You loosen up over,
I'm loose, but I decided I don't know. I'm running out of things to.
There's always more things to talk about, such as
No, I think I'm done. It's just right now. It's just coping because we're waiting for. Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Is, it's months until our next appointment. Really, that's going to matter. And this guy's going to be. He's going to be spearheading it, so he better not fuck it up. So he's spearheading the appointment. So we're going to work through neurologists until somebody isn't retarded. Start with the smartest one first that we think, and work our way back. So right now it's just coping, and that means that I become autistically clean because
you're using a lot of language that people are gonna get so offended over. Listen, we mean retarded like dumb.
What do you don't know my
you don't call retards
retards.
Hold on, you don't call retards.
You call your friends retards. Exactly. Being retarded. Yeah, that's something I do. When people say that they're offended by the word retard, I just send them that clip from The Office. I'm like, do you like The Office? And you say yes, and I send them that clip.
Right.
It's like, are you triggered still?
Yeah. Triggered.
You would never. It's like
never asked a girl if she was triggered once, and she blew the fuck up. I was like, triggered? She was pissed off for some reason. I didn't understand what's going on. I was like, are you triggered by something right now? And she's like, triggered. I was like,
I remember for a friend Steve asked me that one time. I was at a bar and I was just going off on somebody, and Steven was like, "Are you triggered right now, Adam?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm triggered. I am triggered.
You're right. Yeah, you get triggered by something. Yeah. Something made you angry.
Somebody said
triggered
something
your anger.
Really stupid or annoying, and I am now triggered.
But now it's the connotation with like the hyper aggressive, hyper maniacal. Thank you. Left wing blue.
I wouldn't worry about my audience. There's a lot of people that will use that kind of language.
Our audience.
I know some of you guys wouldn't use that kind of language or whatever, but I think you understand where we're coming from, right? We see both each other's viewpoints. Also, I was just going to say, Eric and I aren't religious at all. And, people shit on the idea of thoughts and prayers, but I think we may have talked about it, but I just thought about it again today, where it's like, when someone says they're going to pray for me, I'm like, that still carries, like, value in some sense, because it's pretty powerful to have somebody and a large amount of people like take time out of their day to like just sit and in some form kind of meditate about you and your problems,
right? Not
about their own life. So while I don't believe in God, that's still I'm still thankful for it, and it still carries a lot of weight and power.
I agree, but what I don't like, and this isn't something I read in the comment section really, but when people come up to me and say, "You better get your shit in order."
Yeah,
because you never know.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Right.
That's the end. That's what I've had a family member say that to me when I was in the middle of psychosis. They're telling me that like tomorrow's not guaranteed. I'm like, is right now when I'm in the middle of psychosis the time to try to convert me? Number one.
Also,
number two,
the fear language.
Like, you a fear monger on me? I'm looking at him. I'm looking at these people, and their faces look like the Antichrist. Like I'm literally looks like I'm looking at
tomorrow's not promised.
Yeah, and it's like you're literally gonna tell me that. And I wanted to have a counter argument, but my brain was so fried in my mind that I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't form the idea to say anything back. But I was just getting steamrolled because they can't see what's going on in my head, so they see me sitting on the couch, but inside it's like
right.
So that was fucking
annoying.
But no, I have people who pray for us that it still carries weight. I still think you're wrong.
Yeah.
But I still am thankful for it.
But it's like this guy that Adam and I happen to know. I'm not gonna say who he is again. There's all so many secrets. But it's like, he's religious, but what I love about his take is that he doesn't have like super rigid boundaries where he's going to impose it on you, or if you cross the line, he's gonna get on your ass for it. I don't know, because it's like when I talk to religious people, your conversational breadth.
You're talking to a lot of religious people, so just keep that in mind. I was just touching.
I'm just telling the truth. If I talk to a religious person, the conversational breadth is so much more narrow. You can really explore.
I'm just listening.
Okay, like you're staring. You really explore, the darker side of humor and the darker side of your imagination and things like that.
Or it gives you the opportunity to explore
ideas,
aspects,
right? Without it looping all the way back around to Jesus,
like
again,
without
every single time,
or without it being like, "Ew, you shouldn't have said that," or whatever. It just gives you free reign. So what you're saying is that we know a guy who's a Christian who's just not quite so fundamentalist, and so it's more fun to have conversations with type of people because everything's free game, fair game.
Mm-hmm.
You say something a little off the beaten path at the dinner table with
the usual group,
with the usual religious family group, you might get some weird looks, but you say something about a dildo,
right?
This guy, he's gonna laugh,
right? Exactly, because
it's anyway.
There's nothing wrong with a dildo joke, like.
No.
People just like they take sin and they expand it onto everything, you know?
Yeah, they need to dial it back.
And the funny thing is, what are we here for on planet Earth, guys and ladies and gentlemen? We're here to fuck. We're here to mate. That's our whole purpose, right? Is our whole to just reproduce.
That's not what everyone would agree with, though. If you're talking to it, if you're saying 50%, which is probably about roughly our audience, 50% is religious. A good portion of those religious people would say that our purpose on this planet is not to just mate.
Then what is our purpose?
That would depend on person to person.
Yeah, but like, just play devil's advocate. What would our purpose be?
I have to think from their dumb perspective.
Yeah, play devil's advocate from the Christian's perspective.
Yeah,
the irony.
I don't know. It's a test, is what they say. It's a trial that you go through before you get either shoved into hell or heaven. That's what it is.
Okay,
Or
but then if God,
our friend, it's just a time to grow and learn and develop before you die. And go to
okay,
heaven.
but why would we have to spend all this time in this? Keep playing devil's advocate. Why would we have to spend all this time in this testing period just to end up in a place where God already knows we're going to end up?
You're arguing with someone who agrees with you. I can't think of good reasons for a bad logical argument. Anyway, why are we debating religion?
I don't know. We could redo a take.
I feel like maybe it's
We're
like
warmed up.
I know, but is it like, you know?
Is it just fine to just let it be?
Yeah, maybe it's fine.
Is that what it is?
Anyway, it started with me saying that for those who are religious, it's totally cool, and I really appreciate your prayers. And then it kind of became us just shitting on you. So
sorry about that.
Sorry about that. I really think we should stop. Our brains are toast. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry if we offend anybody. We don't mean to offend anybody. We just think you're wrong, but we also appreciate the sentiment.
I also don't really mind if
Well, that's why I'm saying I
right
that
you can hit that stop button now.
Okay.
Bye.
Anything else?
I just feel like there hasn't been a good, solid conclusion. It's kind of awkward because
I just had COVID brain fog from
Yeah.
my body fighting it off. I love you guys very much. If you want, wow, that was habit.
plug your
Plug
your shit. You will look down in the
You want some free
description.
stocks?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, if you just want to give me free money, that'd be great.
Exactly. If you feel like donating,
I have all the money that's going towards IVIG in the high yield savings account, so it's accruing interest before I pay the bill. I went in to dispute a bill. They gave me a good faith estimate of one number, and they gave me a bill that's $200 more. Went in to dispute it. Wait, I already talked about this. Just fuck it. It's over.
bye.
Bye. Love you guys. Peace.